Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a deep dive into some serious lore, looking at how a single skill in a game is so much more than just a mechanic. It's actually the key that unlocks the entire metaphysical rulebook for its reality. We're going from simple battlefield tactics all the way to the symphony of the cosmos itself.
Our whole journey kicks off with a line that honestly sounds like it comes from nowhere. It's time to fish. But this one little sentence is our way into this whole web of ideas that surround a newly unlocked skill, Pisces. And believe me, this is where the lore gets really interesting.
So here's how we're going to break this all down. We're starting small with the skill itself, then we'll see it in action. And from there, we're zooming way out to get our heads around the massive concepts it represents. Things like a return to Eden, a reality that's literally built from light and sound, and how it all circles back to that one skill.
So, what is this Pisces skill that's just popped up? At first glance, it just looks like another handy tool for the player. But is it really just a glorified contacts list?
Okay, so on the most basic level, the skill is like a master synthesizer. It reaches into every other system, pulls all the data together, and paints you a complete picture of your entire network. Who your friends are, who your enemies are, and even allies who are hiding in the shadows that you never even knew you had. It's a tool for making connections.
But here's where we take a huge leap from the practical into the philosophical. This skill isn't just about listing people. No, it's a symbol for a core metaphysical process. It stands for antithesis, opposing forces, and synthesis, which is the magic of blending them together to create something totally new and way more powerful. And that idea right there, that's the one we need to hang on to.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But how does this abstract concept of synthesis actually work on the ground? Well, let's take a look at how the Pisces skill gets put to use immediately to build a super important alliance and win a battle.
So, the first move is simple. The Pisces skill puts a big, flashing pin on the map, flagging a potential ally, this hidden town of builders called Gaia. And that kicks off a classic quest, right? Find them, prove you're on their side, talk to the boss, and make a deal. The skill isn't just giving you info, it's telling you to go do something.
And this is where you just have to love the weirdness of this world. To get inside, it's not about a password, no. You have to know the completely bizarre local version of A Christmas Carol. It's not just a test of knowledge, it's a test of culture. It's like a secret handshake baked into a song. The alliance they form is a perfect example of synthesis in action. Gaia brings their one-of-a-kind skills, digging and building, to the table. And in return, they get a piece of the pie: resources, tech, and security. It's this beautiful mix of old-world diplomacy sealed with a song and a very modern, very specific contract.
And wouldn't you know it, the plan works perfectly. Gaia's diggers help create these massive underground tunnels that reroute the sea itself, flooding the enemy's fortress and making it totally useless. Two completely different groups combine their strengths to pull off something neither could have ever done alone.
So we've seen Pisces in action. It finds friends, it helps win fights. It's a powerful tool, for sure. But you have to wonder, right? Is that all it is? This success just pushes us to ask a much bigger question, taking us from battlefield tactics to something more like theology. What's the real reason behind this urge to connect and unify everything?
And that question takes us straight from the battlefield into the classroom. Because now we get a lesson on the ultimate purpose of all life in this universe, a purpose that is directly linked to the Pisces constellation, this idea of returning to Eden.
See, in this universe's cosmology, Eden isn't a garden. It's the sea, a symbolic ocean of perfect, unbroken unity. It's the original state of being where everything and everyone existed in total harmony. And calling it a sea is absolutely not an accident. It connects right back to Pisces the fish, and this idea that everything came from the same source. And of course, where there's an Eden, there's always a fall. The whole tragedy plays out in 4 stages. You start with perfect harmony. That gets shattered by deception, which leads to a betrayal that's born from mistrust. And finally, that leads to banishment into a harsh, hostile world. The entire story of history since then has just been about trying to undo that damage.
Now this is the part you really have to wrap your head around. How this whole story is told through metaphor. Things like nakedness aren't literal. Here, nakedness means innocence, complete and total trust. So clothing becomes the symbol for hiding things, for being defensive, for all the mistrust that broke Eden in the first place. It was a spiritual fall, not a physical one.
So if the world is broken, how does the divine even interact with it anymore? Well, in this universe, the answer is through the fundamental physics of light and sound.
But these aren't just waves of energy. They are carriers of deep meaning. They are the literal building blocks of reality. Light itself is split into two halves. You've got the brighter wavelengths. They're slower, more orderly, and they represent the known, the origin of things. And then you have the darker wavelengths, which are faster, more chaotic, and represent all the great mysteries we don't understand. And there it is again, right? That theme of antithesis. And you can just see how deep this symbolism goes. I mean, look at this. Every single color in the rainbow has a specific powerful meaning attached to it. Red is for war and sacrifice, green is for life, and violet, right there at the very edge of what we can see, explicitly represents the violence that came from the fall.
And it's not just light. The exact same thing is true for sound. The musical scale is basically a map for existence itself. Do is taking action. Fa is the journey of life. And So represents the social bonds, the alliances that hold us together. This universe wasn't just created, it was composed. It's a symphony.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. In this last section, we're going to connect all the dots and see how a practical skill, the story of Eden, and the physics of light and sound all snap together perfectly into one massive, coherent idea.
And here it is. This is the whole thing right here. The Pisces skill is a microcosm of the entire cosmic drama. Its job, to integrate allies and synthesize information, is a perfect, small-scale reflection of the ultimate goal of the universe, to reverse the fall by reintegrating all of separated life back into that one harmonious whole of Eden.
It all boils down to one single idea: synthesis. Fusing all these different parts, skills on a character sheet, allies who were strangers, the fundamental wavelengths of light and sound, fusing them all into a single, unified, and much more powerful whole. It's the journey from being many back to being one. And that just leaves us with this one last incredible thought. If reality is truly a symphony, composed of colors and notes, then what happens if someone learns to understand that composition? Someone who can weave with light and sound? Well, they don't just move through the world anymore. They have the potential to rewrite it. What happens when you change the music? Maybe you change reality itself.